Hi everyone and welcome to my controller setup guide for Overwatch. Now this is for Xbox One, so it's not the same as PS4 obviously, but I'm sure a lot of the same techniques apply to PS4 as they do on Xbox One, so please continue to watch even if you're on PlayStation. I'm going to cover my button mapping personally, some strafing techniques, and also sensitivity. So, first of all, button mapping. Let me open up the setup I have. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So, this is the big one. Jump, LB. This is mainly so that you can aim whilst jumping, which may not sound that important, but if I show you right now, I can, if I didn't have LB as jump, I'd have to aim, look around, and then press A to jump, and that would require me to take my thumb off of the analog stick and press A, so I wouldn't be able to aim whilst I was in the air. If I have it set to LB, I can jump and aim at the same time. Carefree. So, that's a big one. What next? Toggle crouch, you can set that to whatever, it doesn't really matter, but these are also important. I think Y is default ultimate ability, so that's fine. A and X is the abilities. I'm actually not sure what that was as default, but I think it might have been some bumpers, some triggers, something like that. So, same kind of reason really. If you wanted to, I don't know, set them to the bumpers, you wouldn't be able to use the bumpers to jump, and therefore your aiming would take, you know, a penalty whilst you were trying to play the game. So this way you can jump around, aim, and then when you want to use an ability, just quickly take your thumb off the analog stick and press one of the ability buttons. So A dash, X deflect. But yeah, some abilities like deflect, you can press quickly whilst you're in the air. You won't be able to aim for the short moment of time that you press the button, but then it lasts, I think, 2 seconds. So for those 2 seconds that deflect lasts, you can move your crosshair and aim while jumping. What next? Wrong one. Whoops. Melee, RB, right bumper. Kind of the same thing. You want to be able to, I suppose, aim and... The melee in Overwatch is quite weird. It's like pressing RB right there, you get a hitbox for the melee. However, if you move whilst you press it, the hitbox moves with it. See, I don't think I can do it there. Basically, let's say that these two bots were closer to each other, and I just did that, I hit one, that, I hit one. But if they were closer to each other, I could swipe across and press RB, which requires melee to be on a bumper so that you can still aim whilst you do it, and that hitbox swipes across 2 different targets, so you get double the damage in the same amount of time. Next we have reload. See, personally, I prefer to reload often. Whenever there's a moment in time where you're not going to suffer from reloading, reload, because you want to have a full clip as often as possible so that when you do come to engaging someone, you have that advantage. You don't have to reload mid-fight. I think that's it. Let me just double check for button mapping. Yeah, that's about it. Next weapon, I think it's just Torbjorn that uses next weapon, so not a huge problem there. I don't think many people play Torbjorn for a start. What's next? Strafing. So, strafing. This is where the bumper being set to jump is very important, because you're able to jump and aim at the same time. In console Overwatch, no one really jumps as often as they should. When you're aiming at someone, you often don't have to worry about vertical movement, which, well, sensitivities are often higher horizontally than vertically, and that was the default for the game. And that just goes that goes to show that it's a testament that you don't have to worry about vertical sensitivity as much on console, because people aren't as bothered about it. If you're jumping whilst aiming all the time, people have to then take into account your vertical movement, which just adds even more survivability on your part, because they're going to have a hard time tracking you.
My task is not complete.
Yeah, that's it. Next on the list is hit scan and projectile. Now, for those of you that don't know, hit scan characters are characters like Widowmaker, McCree, who else? Soldier. Their weapons do the damage as soon as you press the trigger, and therefore you don't have to take into account leading your shots. The damage is instant. So if I press attack right now, the damage would happen instantly the second I press it. There are a lot more characters, however, that aren't hit scan, and they're projectile heroes, such as Genji, Pharah, who else we got? Hanzo, Mei, people like that, where you have to take into account the distance that the projectiles travel before they hit the target. So, for example, I can press the right trigger right now, and even if the crosshair was on a target at the time, I may not hit them because they'll have moved in the time it takes for the projectile to hit them, or not hit them. This is important when strafing and aiming, because you have to try and lead your shots. So I'll try and do it on one of these bots. Try and aim in front of them as they move. The further away you are from the bot or the enemy, the more you'll have to lead your shots, because it takes a longer time to reach them. Like that. Again, on the vertical sensitivity part, this is why it's always good to take high ground. In a game, if you take high ground, people have a hard time looking up and trying to aim whilst looking up. Also, you have a good view of their heads, which gives you extra damage, and they have a bad view of your head, so they struggle to do as much damage. Sensitivity. Sensitivity is an important one. A lot of people say that the higher the sensitivity, the better, and for console, I guess that is true, but only to some extent, because you can't have it too high, because you will struggle with minute aiming and pinpoint precision. If my sensitivity was too high and I wanted to follow this bot, I might end up going too far or snapping too far to the left, too far to the right, whatever the situation is. So I found a good medium, I think. 50-35 for default. I think some of my heroes that I play more, yeah, Genji's horizontal is 60, and that's because often when you dash through someone, you want to turn around 180 degrees straight away to then finish them off if you go through them. I think Tracer's vertical sensitivity might be lower as well. If I were Winston, my sensitivity for vertical should be quite high because often Winston leaps up into the air. That's what you want to try and do, go directly vertical and then come back down, because one, it's a surprise, especially on console, people don't really expect it, and two, you get a much better view of what's below, and you can have a lot more time to choose where you're going to land. Personally, I have a reticle change. You don't have to do that, it's completely optional. It doesn't make much of a difference, it's just sometimes the reticles are very large and unpleasing to look at. Sometimes reticles such as Roadhogs, very big, very displeasing to look at, and can sometimes get in the way. Not all the time, almost none of the time in fact, but just for the odd occasion it does help to have maybe something less intrusive on your screen. Personally, put allied health bars on. You always want to be seeing what your teammate's health is. This might be for any number of reasons. Well, healer, it's default, and that's good. You should have it on as a healer. But let's say you're a DPS and there's another DPS on your team. You're both waiting for a health pack. They might be on less health than you. You might be waiting for the health pack, but if they're on less health, you should really let them take it, because they're in more need of it than you are. So that's why you should have that on. Aim assist strength 100. This is because, well, console just isn't as accurate as PC, and you have to have some sort of help. Don't, you know, try and be a hero and put it on 0. I think some people have it on 50 or something smaller than 100, but it is quite a big factor, so I'd consider messing around with it, but preferably 100. Vibration on. Some people like vibration off because it's, you know, it's less distracting, helps them calm down. But Blizzard recently added in dual zone over exponential ramp because something to do with, well, there's been a lot of complaints about Overwatch's controls anyway, so this just is apparently supposed to help. It's something to do with the aim acceleration on the outer part of the stick, so just keep that on, don't think too much about it. But yeah, this is my setup. Copy it if you want, I don't mind. But I'm not going to take credit for Bumper Jumper, it's been around for ages. This kind of setup is inspired by a Halo kind of layout. Sprint is A for Soldier, same as Bumper Jumper for Halo. Sprint is A. But yeah, that just about sums it all up. Thanks for watching, and please, if there's any videos you want me to make on specific heroes, Genji, I can do pretty much anyone, but I main Genji, so Genji, Hanzo, Mei, they're my favourites, but I'll do absolutely anyone. So please, thanks for watching, and see ya.